There's so many though. I was reading about Mythpunk when I got the ding for the
Oh, I
street.
don't know that one.
Yeah, that one I think it seems to be modern retellings of fairy tales and folklore. A lot of the stuff that I already read and write anyway. So yeah, there's a lot. So I mean, if we want to keep doing this, it's a target-rich environment. So
Yes, excellent.
I mean, I really like having a topic to, focus on when we can be that organized.
I understand. And apparently, now that we're becoming cool, we need to have our shit together.
Really? Is that what that means? Oh no!
Just calmly move these cables out of the way,
Hey, you know what? I will never stop transmitting from my terribly cluttered guest room. It will always be that way. It's not my bedroom. This is the guest room. Hi, kitty.
Oh, it's still a bedroom.
Well, I mean, see, it's just kind of filled with stuff. You see all the stuff.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Don't pay attention to anything else behind the, Yeah.
Well, part of the problem is we have to get the boiler flushed tomorrow, so
that sounds exceedingly steampunk.
Yes.
Getting our boilers flushed.
Somebody is coming. It sounds like a rock tumbler when the water heater kicks on. So it's a problem.
Yeah. Well, in West Texas, that would make sense. Bad. I'm surprised you get that with Dallas area water, though. It seems like
I've never had that happen anywhere I've lived before, where the water heater did that. And you have to be standing right now. I only heard it because I was in here putting the Christmas stuff away finally. So, yes, I put my Christmas decorations away in March. All right.
Hey, my Halloween decorations are still up.
Oh yeah, those are up all year.
Yeah,
I mean on the outside of the house.
Yeah, same. We take down the witches, but that's about it. Yeah.
You just put Santa Claus hats on the witches. Just change out the hats.
Jack, is your dog wearing a neck pillow?
Yes. So this is a blow up pillow to keep her from going through the fence.
Oh no, poor puppy.
However, she feels like she's Queen Elizabeth in it, so she wanders around and struts, going, "Look at my thing."
Yeah, my brother had a cat who would use his cone as a weapon. Sorry, I was talking over you, Thax. Say it again.
Is that her ruff?
Her ruffed? Maybe. It's definitely a mane at this point.
Oh.
Hello, Rita and Lawrence.
Oh.
Hello.
Hello.
And I just realized I still don't have a hotel room for Galveston. Should probably get that taken care of.
Well, we have a space. I know you have specific needs.
I have issues with sharing space. It's not the people; it's us and our.
It's not the people; it's just us. It's just
no. It's our issues
that we're disgusting.
We're
that's
obnoxious human. Yes, we are disgusting, obnoxious human beings. So we tend to not want to share that with everyone else.
I understand. Like, I like my own bed. And I like my own house, and I don't have to worry about everybody else doing other things. Oh, and I like my weird dogs.
I like to cook breakfast.
Yes, I like it when you cook breakfast too.
Well, I mean, we can stop by in the morning for breakfast.
All right, I'll take that. Yeah,
pick up some shrimp on your way over. We'll put it with our eggs.
Yeah.
That's the first thing we usually do when we hit Galveston. Waiting for the hotel room to be open, we go to the grocery store and get all the provisions.
All the provisions. Oh, by the way, are we carpooling or not?
Well, we're talking about a lot of people and some equipment.
I didn't know if it was going to be just you.
It was not this time.
At this time, okay. Yeah, I don't know if I have a car big enough for all 5 or 6 of us.
Is Erica going this time?
Yes.
Yay! Is Lex going?
Yes, it is the plan for Lex and Cody to come. So,
and Shannon's gonna miss it. Damn it.
Well,
yeah, but she gets to go to England, so I mean, it's a fair trade.
But is it though? Not for us,
but for her, yeah.
For her,
yeah.
It's a small price to pay. I can't go hang out with my friends, but I get to go to England.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, and I will get I also forgot to do the outro voiceover. I'll get that done tomorrow and sent over to you.
Curses.
Sorry,
Jack
you
was
already.
saying he was gonna get some quiet time last weekend, but I guess that didn't happen.
I got.
Oh, Jack, you didn't do yours either.
Did I record it?
No.
I
I thought you
recorded
said
it, but I never finished it. Oh man! No, wait.
Oh.
Let me check. Like you said, I got very busy, and I edited like 250 gigs worth of footage over the
Good
weekend.
lord.
Good
Yeah.
Lord.
I didn't think I'd written that much.
I have 4 terabytes worth of video. I'm trying to
Wait,
get through.
what?
Right
For what? Hang on, did I miss
mean-
something? I thought we were just recording something.
now. No, not our stuff.
What are you doing?
Oh, okay. I was like, what? Clearly, I missed something.
Well, with the advent of the of Texas blocking out certain websites, I have gotten into a
Oh,
completely new job.
yes.
No, I'm joking.
That's bananas, and I wonder how long that's gonna last.
Well, Utah's didn't last very long.
Yeah,
when they did it.
that's
We'll see how long it lasts. But even then, Texans are not dumb. We figured out that VPNs exist, and so
VPNs
the
will get
NordVPN has gone. They're
yeah.
all the
Texas's
stocks have
usage
gone
of the
up on
VPN has gone up.
So I've made a couple dollars.
Yeah, I was gonna say that was bananas, and it's like a ton of sites too. They all have the same text.
Hey, it's time to get going. You guys
Sorry.
ready?
Yes, no more porn.
From her crumbling bunker, a post-apocalyptic librarian explores the wasteland, recovers books, and keeps the flame of knowledge alive.
An eccentric traveler with tales slightly more than believable wanders the wilds in search of fine beers, good company, and strange artifacts.
A wheeling dealing maverick, not averse to a new scheme or hustle, keeps an eye out for the next wealthy dupe or pursuing lawman.
They find themselves together, traveling the long roads of Texas, meeting steampunk luminaries, and stumbling across outrageous fortune.
Tonight, they report back to you through strange telegraph technology on the latest happenings and interesting trivia of our steampunk world in the great state of Texas.
Join us now for the Texas Steampunk Connection.
Oh, look at that!
Good
Y'all's
evening,
money
ladies
at
and gentlemen.
work, right there.
I love that intro.
That's what you guys give us. You give us the opportunity to do things like that.
We did need a new one, and that turned out pretty nice. Thank you.
I like it.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is the Texas Steampunk Connection Tuesday night. We are now episode 6 of the new season. It is already middle of March,
Yes.
going on, heading toward Galveston Steampunk Festival faster than I would feel comfortable with.
Same. It's racing up.
I'm still in January. I don't know where the rest of what happened.
I'm still in March of last year.
February just came and went. I know that.
Yeah. February, of course, February is universally short. It just felt like it was first week of February and then the 29th. Just like,
Yeah, it was leap year, so you got an extra.
I was gonna say we got an
February
extra day, and it didn't matter.
no, it was even a long February.
Yeah,
Yep.
but the weather
Time
here
flies
has been
faster the
super
older you
nice.
get. Yeah, the weather's been. It was chilly a couple of days last week, but for us, it's been really beautiful.
Yeah, we're getting chilly mornings and very comfortable afternoons, and it's been. I'm jinxing it as I say it, but it's been lovely.
Yeah. I think it was Wednesday and Thursday, or was it Thursday and Friday that it was really kind of cold and rainy here. It was like in the 40s or 50s, but no, we've come out of it and it's really, really beautiful now. So spring is sprung.
Yeah, the first day of spring was just like yesterday
Today.
or something.
I think it's today.
What, spring?
How
Yeah.
does time work?
It's Texas. It's cold again this weekend.
I don't know when spring starts, but I know what St. Patrick's Day was. It was this Sunday, and it was fantastic.
Do you remember most of it? Remember starting it. I woke up in bed, so it was a good one.
That one's never really been on my roster to celebrate. So I played Warcraft that day.
I read a funny comic book or a comic on Facebook, or it was a joke on Facebook. Someone says, "So, how'd it go? I finally confessed to my family that St. Patrick isn't real, and I was the one putting snakes under everyone's pillows every night. Just like, ugh.
Mhm. Snakes in the bed.
And I had to go look that one up because I had forgotten exactly
What, the St. Patrick snakes thing?
Yep.
Yeah.
I promptly forgot again. My brain
The
this week.
information you don't really need.
Yep. It's just like, got to replace it with ways to install Windows on a broken hard drive.
Ooh. I should bring my computer for you to fix because it's got problems.
Okay.
My gaming computer.
Oh no.
I keep getting the blue screen to death. So
Well,
yeah. And I reset it to factory settings. I was so proud of myself. I'm like, I fixed it. And then like a week later, it did it again. So yeah.
it might be hardware depending on what the error code is on the blue screen. So on the next time it blue screens, there should be like a 0x00 and then a whole lot of numbers thing. Just type that in, like take a picture of your phone, send it to me, and I'll look it up for you.
Well, it does the scan and it tells me that it's not a hardware issue. So I don't know.
Yeah, well, hopefully
Anyway.
it's just it might be a Windows issue, and that might be.
We'll
easy to
talk
fix.
later. This is not interesting. Sorry.
Okay, moving
Shout out
on.
to Dante Faye, who is
Dante Fia, yes, that is my friend Dante.
oh,
Hi, Dante.
it's like I don't
Dante
like-
also has a podcast, Two Old Guys in a Garage.
really.
Yes.
Is it like
Yeah.
this? They just talk about whatever. Brilliant.
Yeah, I think my husband
Yes.
watches it. So yeah. Yep. All right. Well, should we move on to the booze?
Yes. What are we drinking? 'Cause I got something fun too.
I got something new. It's not terribly exciting, but it's
It'll be a good night.
margarita in a can. Cayman Jack margarita.
Heck yeah. Those things
Yeah,
are
it was
weirdly
this.
good.
I know it's actually really good. There's also watermelon flavor, I think strawberry, and then mango or something else. But yeah, it's good. It's cheap.
You're
It's
like, this is not, I
6%
wouldn't
alcohol.
expect if you don't go in thinking it's a frozen margarita, you're not going to be disappointed by what's in the can. It's like it's margarita flavored.
It's not bad. So decided to branch out something new. All right, Jack.
Mm.
We got to
I
save
picked
that
up-
because weird beer.
I actually picked up something from Real Ale because they're always pretty decent, and it is the Black Quad. It's a quadruple.
What is
Yeah.
it?
It is a very dark beer.
Oh God. Okay.
Even like the symbol, it's like an acorn in a gear. That's not actually an acorn; it's something else. But yeah,
It's a hop.
There's a gear on it.
it's a hops. It's hops in a gear. How much more steampunk in Texas can you get?
Steam
That
powered
weird
beer.
All right, so this thing is it's straight from the Hill Country, obviously.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah. So more information on what it is outside of just freaking high in alcohol content.
Black beer.
Unpasteurized. I'm not totally sure why we'd need to know that, but yay, you know what? That's cool. 10.9 alcohol. 10.5? Yeah, 10.5. Wow.
Jesus.
Oh yeah, it's so good.
Oh, you've had it before?
Yeah.
I'm not surprised. I'm pretty sure I've had this before too. It's probably one of those nights I don't remember and didn't wake up in bed. But let's see here. That is really thick. If cake was a beer, this would be a pound cake.
Oh, Jesus. Okay.
Mm. But it's
Yeah,
really
right
good.
there?
You just oh yeah, no, it's kind of all right. So you know how liquid is liquid technically. This is like it's liquid, but it doesn't like absorb right in immediately. It's like it's in a plastic bag that hits your mouth and it falls apart.
You're not making it sound appetizing, I gotta say. I don't really understand how liquid's not a liquid technically.
So you know when a raindrop hits a windshield, and sometimes you could tell when it hits a part of the windshield that's got something on it where that it's hydrophobic and it just keeps
Got
rolling.
the hydrophobia.
Yeah. Well, it's like this is hydrophobic until it hits like the back of your tongue and then it like breaks. It's good. It's just thick.
Okay.
Yay. Highly recommended.
You're making it sound so So intriguing. I'm gonna have to try it if I can find it up here.
Oh yeah, you can.
All right. You know what, Thax?
Okay. Something I've not tried before. From Clown Shoes, this is Royal Standard Wee Heavy Ale. And it's got a picture of a wild
That is
redhead.
the most righteous can I have seen in a long time.
There's a lot going on.
It looks like that needs to be an icon for what was that? Power Thirst, the joking energy drink that one guy came up with on the internet and made a really funny, stupid comic book or script for.
Nope.
So I've never
See,
had
Jack,
a
you
Wee
didn't do
Heavy
the fancy
before.
pour.
Ooh.
I don't. It's a bottle.
You
It comes
still
with a
did the
fancy
fancy
opening. I'll pour it fancily in my mouth. There. Happy? What'd you ask for?
Not at
What'd you
all.
get?
No, I'm not happy at all.
So this is listed as an 8%, so it's going to be pretty heavy. But it's not a stout. It's not like dark and thick like Jack's.
Like the oil that Jack is drinking.
Well, we are talking about petrol and diesel. And, unrefined oil is a very interesting thing. Sometimes it comes out looking just like baking oil. It's clear. You can see right through it. It's crystal. You can pour right into your engine. It's fine, straight from the ground. Other places, like the wingy bit of West Texas, it comes out in the most putrid, disgusting Vaseline consistency ever.
What are you talking about?
Oil. Straight oil. I guarantee you, some of those wells out there are pumping nothing but just putrid Vaseline. That's what it is. It takes too much chemical to make this stuff liquid to get it out of the ground. It gets in your clothes, and that smell never goes away.
And that's Jack's Vaseline corner. Thax, how's your beer?
Jack's lubricant corner.
There you go.
It's very nice. It's
Lubrication with Jack.
much lighter than I expected, given what Lawrence usually drinks. It's like a lager, but 8%. So it's a little more malty, a little sweeter, but not like super heavy. It's nice. I would definitely drink this again if Clown Shoes wasn't such an expensive brand.
You could almost just build a little pump jack on the top of this thing.
Thax, have you had the Rainbow Sherbet beer? Because I ran across it on the Total Wine when I was making my order earlier, and I saw it and I thought, but it said it was a sour, and I don't know if I'd like that.
I've had an orange sherbet sort of beer. I don't recall if it was a sour. I don't think that doesn't sound particularly familiar.
Okay. I couldn't remember. I mean, I figure if it's a weird beer, then it's probably in Thax's domain, but I couldn't remember.
Thank you.
We all have our specialties.
Something weird to drink when we're in Galveston, eating like food on the beach somewhere. Like, this is the thing we're drinking tonight. This is fun. Hey, my friend.
Gonna have to bring your weird beer to the live show.
Yeah, well, I don't think we're allowed in with their weird beer, but I'm assuming we're going to be able to get something at the place that allows us to advertise the beer that they have there. I'm assuming. But let's call up Johnny real quick and find out. Just on the spot. Johnny,
Can you have this beer waiting for us?
So since this is a good segue, I wanted to briefly touch on the Friday night bar crawl.
Yep.
That they're offering as part of the Galveston Steampunk Festival, because that's a separate purchase, separate ticket, and so I asked Johnny, okay, what can we expect? What's included? What are we getting for our admission on Friday night? So he said you're going to get branded koozie and a T-shirt, and we're going to get a chance to try some of the locals' experimental brews.
I don't think I got that ticket.
Mad science.
I don't think I'm going to that.
I still need to buy mine, but I'm about to.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
as long as
I'm
they're
actually on the
still
website
available.
right now looking at it, but we can work on that later. Yes.
Okay.
I'm fairly certain there are no. They won't run out of seats on the bar crawl.
True.
Yeah.
True. Yeah, because we plan to be there Friday afternoon, so get there
Nice.
decently.
Yeah.
Yeah, I plan on being there Friday afternoon as well. I've already taken the time off for work, and so there's nothing. Allie or Lexus changed jobs now, so that shouldn't be a problem either. And I can yerk the kid out of school for, research reasons.
Hey, there you go.
Yeah.
It's educational.
Go to the beach. He's never been to the beach. He's got to put his feet in the water. I know it's going to be utterly icy cold, so he's not going to be able to probably swim in it.
Yeah, it was last year, but it was still. I'd never really been to the beach before either. Before last
But
year,
my kid's
so
10, and he's never been to a beach. I'm like,
I was 47, and I'd never been to a beach.
well, to be fair, my aunt used to live in the area, so, and that was a thing. So I've been to the beach multiple times in my life as a young person, but and nearly died like 3 times there. So I'm not really too keen on just immediately taking my kid out to the beach in the middle of the water. So let's just say I like to go out far.
Clearly.
And then I found the funny little like slip streams. Those are not fun. But
Alrighty.
that's not the main.
Well, Thax,
main
do we have a
event
topic tonight?
I was hoping. Let's see. So the last episode we talked about boiling down steampunk to its very basics for sort of a steampunk 101, or how to explain to someone what steampunk is. Now we're going in the opposite direction. And I'm hoping tonight is the first of many nights where we explore one of the subgenres that sort of our steampunk umbrella sits over. Tonight we want to talk about Dieselpunk, more specifically, or Petrolpunk.
Petrolpunk, yeah.
As Jack's wife informed me recently, today, that is very similar.
She's fun. I love my wife.
But and I'm sure she'll chime up if I screw this up. But it's more of a Eurocentric. Petrolpunk is more Eurocentric and more sort of the point of view of defending against the oncoming war, which I guess the Europeans have had experience with in World War One, versus the American side, where we call Dieselpunk, and it's generalizations, but it's more about taking our big tanks and going off and getting the thing done.
There's kind of a big difference between steampunk and dieselpunk, and one of them is obviously the time frame.
Yeah, the interwar period.
You move into a point when war was a gentlemanly act during steampunk, because it was still. I mean, we're moving into the modernization and industrialization for sure, but World War One was the moment where it was no longer about being gentlemanly in war, but how manly your country was and how much manpower you're willing to lose to prove a point. It goes away from kind of this romantic period of wonder into kind of the modernization of mankind. And I actually found, and well, I didn't dig very hard to find this, but on Wikipedia, I love this quote.
Same.
I found it a long time ago. But the Scott Westerfield addresses this question, and he says, "I like the word dieselpunk. If you're going to do something like weird World War II, I think that makes perfect sense. But for me, World War I is the dividing point where modernity, I don't know, goes into being, it's almost maternity without that quite. But it goes from being optimistic to being pessimistic, where we were hopeful for the future, and then we see the world we have wrought, and it's this. There's no end of it. It's the kind of the militarization and the military industrial complex kind of takes over. But comes down to where essentially the dividing point is where the words machine and gun become together, and they both change the whole meaning of the word. because before machine was different and gun was different. The moment you put them together, it's a whole new ball game.
Yeah.
And at that point, war is no longer about the sense of adventure and chivalry and the way of testing. It's a way of testing your nation's level of manhood. It's become industrial and horrible.
Yeah.
So-
Well, and this was also the period when Churchill created the Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare.
Yes.
Yeah,
think
when things literally
stamp of
changed in
approval
World
right
War II.
there on the
Yeah,
change
in
in the
World War
time frame.
II. Yeah, so I mean, but the interwar period, I think Dieselpunk does work better because that was you're right, everything changed. Warfare completely changed when it became automated the way that it did. You didn't have to, you weren't up close and face to face with someone when
No.
you killed them. You could be,
No.
you know,
Well,
across
World
the
War
no
I was
man's
the
land.
first war in which we were able to kill people faster than any disease was on a battlefield.
And that's why Britain lost so many young men. Just an entire generation
And
of young men were
France.
killed or damaged.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I think that you should quote Scott Westerfield, because that was the first author I pulled when I thought, oh, Dieselpunk.
yes,
I'll bring up
the Leviathan.
Leviathan.
Yep.
First of a trilogy. Very, very cool book if you like Dieselpunk or giant mechanical robots.
Yes.
And also some other things that I've never seen developed anywhere else, but in Westerfield's books. I don't know if I should share them because it's kind of cool, and I want you to find out.
I haven't read them in a long time, but yeah, they're excellent. They're really, and they bridge that steampunk to dieselpunk kind of
And that's
area.
kind of where I want to talk about for just a segment, because the whole Petrolpunk thing to me seems different, because petrol and gasoline are slightly different, even though they are very close to the same. And one came right before the other because they're a different refinement. One is hydrocarbons, and one is, it's hydro. Words. It's not hydrocarbon.
I thought they were the same thing. I just
You
thought
mean,
it was one
you mean
was bread.
petrol and diesel, correct?
No, there is a slight. So there is a. They are the same mixture. They're both machine spirits, as the British called it for a little bit before it became aviation spirits, before it got turned into gasoline. But yeah, that's in law in the British books of like when they're doing legislation, is it has to be considered machine spirits or aviator spirits or aviation spirits, because back then that's what they called it. To me, petrol, like he says, kind of a European. It's more used in European of the world. That's the word that they tend to use it over there in India as well. But for some reason, to me, gasoline didn't take off quite the same way right off. They're just a different naming scheme, but one's hydrocarbons and one is made of hydrogen and carbon. So the mixture is slightly different. One is made of two materials, while one is just a ultra refinement of another, until they ultimately became synonymous with the same device, the same object, the same product. So to me, petrol has kind of this very narrow window of like World War I before diesel took off, because gasoline engines and whatnot were not becoming, because diesel was still superior for a lot of reasons. It was easier to manufacture, and it's dirtier, but it's easier to run in everything. Like the reason that a lot of World War II trucks and Jeeps and everything run on diesel is because it burns in nearly everything. You don't have to, as long as you have pressure on the fuel, it'll do combustion. You can put fires out with it nearly, as long as there's no pressure with it either. So it's very safe. Gasoline is not.
Don't older cars like some Volvos, they're diesel?
I think
And
so.
some of the older European cars, Volvos, I'm pretty sure, and then I think some BMWs and Mercedes.
Because
or
it
diesel,
was a safe
yeah.
fuel, and it's very readable everywhere. And only up until the last couple of years was it fairly consistently priced with the rest of fuel in America, for sure. But to me, that makes a very distinct moment of before things became more diesel than it was gasoline and petrol. And so I like to make that more of the World War I style thinking. So it kind of micronizes the whole genre even more to a very distinct point in history. Because when I think of Dieselpunk, I think more of 1920s, late
Art
1920s,
Deco.
early 30s. I think
Yeah.
Indiana Jones. I don't
Yeah,
think
that's-
World War 1 mentality at that point. I think of, look at all the, like, it's clunkier. And then you start
Well,
getting
it's
more
the
refinement.
interwar period. It's that period between World War I and World War II where so much was happening. Like I said, we had the Art Deco movement and all of the straight, all of the very distinct lines. And then the Depression came along, and then, we ended up segueing into World War II. So that interwar period for everything was so much was
boom.
happening in that very relatively short period of time. And so, the Dieselpunk that draws on the Art Deco, it's beautiful. I mean, the movies, and you're right about, because I read the wiki too, that they mentioned Indiana Jones, which kind of surprised me a little bit, but not when I thought about it. It seemed,
I think
it
of that
made
as
sense.
too late.
You think it's too late?
early,
Well, it's
early
specifically
30s. There's mid 30s. It's when Germany was wandering around, taking over taking artifacts from all over the place.
Yeah.
So the war was coming.
It was late 30s and early 40s because we already had the Nazis, and the Nazis were running around all over those movies. But so, and that's usually what you see. Yeah, that Art Deco period.
I like enjoying Art Deco via the arms industry at that point in time. They made so many pretty guns.
I mean, fair. They did.
So to me, I think more Dieselpunk is these big, huge lumbering machines gushing out diesel smoke and leaking oil and just
tromping
grungy
across battlefields.
And, at a size and a scale that just wasn't possible without that sort of fuel.
Okay, then let me ask you this: Mortal Engines. Do you think do you still think that's steampunk, or would you classify that as
Mortal
Dieselpunk?
Engines? I would say this
I think it's
easily
both,
falls
isn't
into
it?
the. Well, I don't think we need to make a big distinction, and that is where the fight starts.
Let's do it.
I think steampunk is an umbrella term that Dieselpunk can fall into, and we don't have to feel like we need to make strong distinctions. This is the boundary. I'm steampunk and that side is Dieselpunk.
I'm not a distinction
real
person.
So,
but like you're saying, those big machines that go, just crushing and destroying everything, just spewing out, pollution behind them.
That's like if World War One never ended and it was all about trench warfare and how big a sofa you could push across the battlefield on treads.
Absolutely.
It's just this lumbering dinosaur that's just crunching along at 2 miles an hour, carrying turrets upon turrets upon turrets of guns, being hit by all sorts of artillery and not stopping. You got yourself what you'd call a land ship and or juggernaut, which is a very World War One style thinking of something that needed to cross no man's land in that's being shelled and gassed and clouds of dust and debris, and all you hear is this massive mechanized thing, and then suddenly the dust clears for a minute and you just see this massive thing with guns bristling all over it coming right at you. That's a very World War One-esque visual, and that's when airships and blimps were used to take out airplanes, and you don't have that much else later.
So basically really just diesel-powered AT-ATs just walking through.
Yeah, that's essentially, because you wanted to be, the higher up you were, the better gun depression you could get. So, and the Germans were really big on making big boxy tanks at that point. And the first, like the Matilda the Matilda style was there for the British tank, which was one of the originals. And you had all the little tiny ones, the French made. So it was very unique, and everything had a very distinct style to it before World War II came along. Which everything still did, but it was a much more refinement of technology at that point.
It wasn't quite identical assembly line at that point. Things were still...
You still had very much... It was
individual creators making things. Yeah.
Because you get those big wheeled things the Russians tried to make to cross the lines. That looks like something straight out of Star Wars Attack of the Clones. Massive iron wheels, this tank turret in the middle of it, with like these little tiny pusher wheels. It is utterly ludicrous. It looks like something that a kid drew. But
some of Star Wars was on the Dieselpunk list too on the wiki. Yeah, they listed those too in there. And of course Miyazaki popped up. And the Batman, I thought that was interesting. They listed Tim Burton's Batman, which I mean, because one thing that I noticed was they mentioned that again, 20s and 30s, that noir style, that Dieselpunk's got a grittier noir,
Oh, for
private
sure, the cartoon.
detective, Sam
right up there.
Spade running around out there, type of feel, and that is absolutely what that Tim Burton's Batman was.
Yeah.
That was dark Batman. It was still my favorite.
Yeah, I keep
So,
thinking
yeah,
of
I can
other
see
things we commonly call steampunk, but really more easily fit into the Dieselpunk, cubbyhole. League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
Yeah,
straight up.
absolutely.
Super.
You have Nemo. That's very. I would call that would be very much but it kind of almost surpasses Dieselpunk because of the technology that's involved still is nuclear, or at least it's heavily inspired to be nuclear. So it's like he was it's like Captain Nemo obviously was way ahead of his time. That was the whole point, was that they have this wonderful technology that comes out of nowhere and they're able to solve all these problems.
Max is making faces.
It's an interesting argument. I can come back and say Jules Verne wrote it.
Mm-hmm.
So he's not exactly Dieselpunk in his time.
That's what I'm saying. It doesn't fit the time. It's like you go back and you read a lot of like super heavy, deep sci-fi science fiction from people who've never seen a rocket fly yet.
Yeah,
they're just having to make all these assumptions that end up being closer to realistic than not, but it has that weird kind of displaced feel to it.
There's slip over with a lot of that stuff because the retro futurism and the way they were thinking. Because when you read H.G. Wells and his machines, I mean, they were bridging that area where they were slipping to one side or the other. It wasn't specifically because they weren't writing steampunk, they were just writing cool shit. And this is what we ended up with. But Jules Verne, actually, I think, because I studied him for a paper I had to write, and I think he actually was a scientist, or at least he was an amateur scientist, I think. So he actually was
popular science, like most of us who cared.
He was writing from a somewhat educated place for the time that he was writing in. So but I know he's not for everybody. Some people don't dig on the Jules Verne adventures. So
I remember the TV show on Sci-Fi. That was fun.
Look, he had great ideas. He just wasn't a very good writer.
Well, same with Lovecraft. Lovecraft had great ideas. Terrible writer.
He didn't know how to expressing something that cannot be expressed is difficult. I will give him that. And the fact that he's like, it's unimaginable. I'm like, yeah, it is. I don't know how else I would explain the most terrifying ink blot that has tentacles either. That's just really difficult. Like, there's an aura of danger and scariness that's washing over me. Yep.
I love Lovecraft's writing.
I hate his writing. I like what people have done with the myth, but
I like his writing has a texture. It has an atmosphere that you're sort of floating through. And
he's the man who wrote the first SCP.
Okay.
It makes sense. It fits. It works. I love the story.
I think SCP is a pale, weak little brother to Lovecraft. But I mean, you're right. He's trying to express or to describe indescribable things, and so you're walking away going, "Did I don't know if what I was reading was. Did I miss a few pages?"
I know. I always feel like that too. I'm like, it's like he couldn't ever get a complete thought down before he moved on to the next. And I don't know if it was deliberate, because it leaves you just sitting there for weeks afterwards wondering what you read.
Yeah, and it lingers.
Does a decent job of keeping you hooked. So from a writer's perspective, I will say he did that well. If you can read it all the way through, because some of the wording some of his language is rough, just because he doesn't know how to write people well, or write like speaking parts well. But he does definitely do the mental, the thought process. What's that called? Anyway, train of thought well. And old school writing, but that was his normal modern day writing at that time, when he's like, to my dearest loving wife.
I like the ideas, but also like his precursor, Robert Chambers, who came up with The King in Yellow. That was, and then kind of influenced a lot of what Lovecraft went on to do. Chambers is bonkers, because the whole idea behind The King in Yellow is that this is a play that makes everybody crazy. And so the story collection, when you're reading about it, they mention like the King in Yellow, but it's not actually written. It's just we know that it makes everybody bat. The first season of True Detective actually plays on the King in Yellow a lot, if you've seen it. But I veered off. Sorry. Back to Dieselpunk.
It's all right. I got to read that.
We'll have to go back and do a
King in Yellow,
noir.
yes. You absolutely
horror.
need to read it.
Yeah.
Yes, we can do a horror punk. That would be, and then we can go into all of these Chambers and August Derleth and all of the weird horror that was being written in the. Yeah, it was new and it was fascinating and scary. I mean, it was literally stuff you couldn't comprehend, and that's what made it so scary.
And then we're gonna bridge straight over into Sky Captain: The World of Tomorrow and how terrible.
Yes, I need to watch that again.
was.
I love that movie. Shut up. I love
The plot
it.
hole was so.
Yes, but it has Angelina
Jolie. For later. I forget about it.
Angelina Jolie as a Sky
movie. Oh look!
Come on.
Zap. Ha!
It's very attractive people doing very adventurous things.
It was very gorgeous, and I was hoping for more because, if anything, that was exceedingly.
What happened?
There's a cartoon that I cannot come up with. Tailspin. It was like the most tailspinning movie I've ever seen.
What?
You've never seen Tailspin?
I have.
It's Blue. It's the animal movie.
It's Blue,
like
yeah.
Blue and with Khan and Ka and all those characters, but done in. No wonder I love Art Deco. It's Art Deco. It's the 1920s and 30s. Baloo is a cargo plane pilot, and apparently everywhere is better to fly planes than ever ship a boat in your entire life. And there are pirates. Who is played by what's his name? Frank or Cumming? Is it Jim? Who does the voice?
I don't know. I just know that Baloo is like quantum leaping through all of those different cartoons. I mean, he shows up everywhere.
And maybe one day he'll get back to his wonderful point in the with his kid.
He is the nomad of the time streams.
Yeah, I watched Tailspin. I was probably too old for it, but I watched it.
I probably was too, but
I thought it was a lot like
it was my time period.
Indiana Jones.
Yes, it was very Indiana Jones. And my favorite villain of all time is Don Carnage, the Fox pirate captain, who has this. It is I, Don Carnage. And it was done by Jim Cummings, so it was funny. And then, of course, and like the best thing ever, the same character plays the Pirate King in the Clone Wars series that like captures Anakin and Obi-Wan, except he's just. He's the same character. He's just not he's just as expressatory and everything about it. Like kidnapping one Jedi, that's all right. Kidnapping two, that's just good business. Yeah. So I really feel the same for that character, and I really modeled a lot of Jack after that, just because it comes down to just contracts and obligations. And yes, I sold you yesterday, but now you're saving me because you need me. We're friends now. That was yesterday.
Well, if we're talking about cartoons, what about Batman Beyond? Definitely the little lines in that cartoon, and that was definitely had the Deco atmosphere to it, and the dark
first one,
and the sharpness.
Which one was it?
The cartoon, the Batman Beyond cartoon. It came out right after the Tim Burton movie. It was in the mid-90s. Yeah, because that's when I'm sick and I can't go to sleep, I put that on and I just fall asleep watching Batman Beyond.
What's the Batman that was on when I was a child?
Probably cartoon or movie?
Yeah, it was Batman the cartoon.
Batman Beyond is the cartoon.
Nope.
Okay,
It was. Heck, come on, Batman the animated series, which I guess counts for part of the Batman and Beyond. It's just mine was.
Batman the animated series. Sorry, yeah.
Art Deco one, the complete animated series. Yeah, okay, so it counts in the.
Sorry, yeah.
No, you're good. You're good. I didn't.
Yeah, you're right, Kristen. I think Beyond was the 2000s. It was Batman the animated series.
Yeah,
was the one that I watched.
Cyberpunk.
Yeah. The one from the 90s was the one I would come home from school and watch when I was like 16 and 17 years old.
The one where everyone was carrying, Thompson machine guns and just the flashy lights and the colors and the gray tones and black and very it was
beautiful. Very sharp and the very lines were very
and then right afterwards was Gargoyles, which was yet another very kind of which has half
Gargoyles.
the cast of Star Trek Next Generation playing all
Yes,
the voice
was on
actors.
Gargoyles. Yep.
The best lines
Yes.
ever was
That's awesome.
an evil Iron Man Riker saying along the lines of essentially every man has his price and I'm willing to pay it. Like, oh,
Yes, that was an excellent one.
Batman. Let's see.
Um,
Atlantis.
Oh yeah, also The
Disney's
Man in the
Atlantis.
High Castle. If we're talking about Dieselpunk, The Man in the High Castle, the book by Philip K. Dick, and the amazing show that was on Amazon. Oh my god, it was so good.
Wolfenstein the game.
I've never played those.
So the original was obviously you're a prisoner trying to get out of a World War II concentration camp.
Okay.
Beyond that, it turned into essentially like Fallout if the Nazis owned everything. So it was very rocket punk from a Nazi standpoint. But it has that very like 1960s feel to it. Like, but it's so bizarrely weird to feel having like it's like postmodernism vehicles from Germany if they took over like all of America. So there's a lot of American hints and feel to it. But then there's like the German propaganda in German on the TV, and it's obviously an American football game going on. And there's just the Nazi regalia everywhere. It is the creepiest TV show or game to play because it's just they hit you with that all the time. That Man in High Castle eeriness is there.
Yeah, that was. The show was so good.
I think I watched like the first episode, and I was like,
The Man in the High Castle.
This freaks me the hell out. I can't watch it
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
And it was.
Yeah. I need to go back and finish it.
It's one of those shows that's excellent. It was beautiful. It was well done, and I will probably never watch it again because it is just really hardcore and really rough.
There are certain people you wish you could just sit down the world and be like, all right, we're going to watch these educational videos and we're never going to talk about this again. But you just need to know this is how the world would be if.
Yeah, it was so good. It was spooky. And I mean, but again, alternate histories is a big part of a lot of these, the Dieselpunk, the steampunk, whatever, alternate histories, I think are an important part of, which is what I'm doing my dissertation about. But seeing how things could, and some people don't like alternate histories because they think it focuses too much on one thing to the exclusion of everything else. But I don't know. I still think they're important. And especially with the man. Yeah. Well, and with the Man in the High Castle, I mean, it's not that far fetched that things could have taken, a different turn just depending on the choices that were made. And I think that's why I can't watch it again because it's just
can.
Yes. Well,
in the current world of do you think Dieselpunk's too far out or it doesn't fit in the genre of our stuff? I actually think it can fit very well in the fact that depending on if you're building a world that has all different types of styles of punk, this is like the dwarven culture. Yes, you're going to have these massive airships that are just belching smoke to keep themselves up in the air. But you're going to have a lot of these people who are just running around in airships because they're easy to build and, apparently helium's everywhere or something like that. Or whatever your unobtainium flotation device is, it's consistent to be easy to get a hold of. And wood is just lighter and faster. So you're still going to have a lot of, there's still viability in a certain time period before you get into like rocket engines to where it doesn't care if it's aerodynamic. With enough force, we can make it work.
The Man in the Moon. Get it right.
Yeah, it's just one of those things that there's place for everything. And I think one of the TV shows that I remember seeing a long time ago, it was an anime, and I know Bax knows of it, but The Last Exile does a great job of kind of blending multiple different avenues because it's like if the Napoleonic Wars never ended, even with airships, they would just line up the airships next to each other and just pass each other like this with guys on the deck firing air guns at each other with bullets and seeing how many people they knocked out. And then whoever they knocked out the most of would concede and they would win that area. And so
it's the old fashioned gentlemanly warfare, but
very
with
gentlemanly
where
warfare.
They still line up to shoot each other.
Even on airships, just on these big open hangar like areas. Well, the thing is that TV show, the technology and the ideas are changing, and these little things called van ships are coming in, which are small airplanes, and they're changing warfare now to where you can bomb these things versus doing it the gentlemanly way. And so it's becoming, things are changing, and it's a very point of that kind of World War I to World War II contention. And I thought it was a very interesting way of doing it. Obviously, in this case, they also have another group of individuals that are kind of playing a referee, and they have a lot more power, and they're able to basically balance the two sides to make sure either one of them gets too powerful by essentially controlling the devices that allow the airships to float. They basically rent them out and say, "Okay, you can build a ship around this. And if it gets blown up, the thing just pops out and we get to resell it to you later." So it's a weird dynamic for that. But that's the kind of the catch to that show. Other than that, watching the kind of the mental and personal change of a lot of the characters during this time of why are we doing it this way? This is dumb. No, this is just this gentlemanly warfare is not gentlemanly. Everyone's just dying. And people who are making these wars aren't fighting them.
Well, the weapons get better. You can
Same
kill
as
a lot
it ever
more people.
was.
Yep.
Yeah. It's all the same.
So in steampunk, as we have discussed it previously, there's the aesthetic, but then there's also the anti-establishment or punk, an important piece of what makes a media or storyline steampunk. It's something anti-establishment or rebelling against something. Do you think that carries over to the Dieselpunk stories that we've been talking about?
Yeah.
And is it a consistent? Would you be able to draw generalizations as to where the punk lies in Dieselpunk, or is it all over the place?
I think to a big degree, it doesn't really matter if your story is if your world and your story is well enough written. It doesn't matter the level of technology. It's like if you took the story of Dune and you stuck it in 1700s era on Earth. It's the same games, the same gambits going on. It's just you have to change. Well, instead of being spice, it's now opium or whatever. And instead of having spaceships, it's just modern. It's the modern day equivalent of your ship of the line. Or you go further, and you're in like Serenity. You got a big war that went on. The Browncoats lost, and you're following a dude, and in his war in this new world that's changed from his perspective. And so it's kind of like if you write a good enough story, the technology can change in the background however you want it to be.
It can be anti-authoritarian. It's what you wrap your anti-authoritarianism in. Yeah. What the aesthetic that because Star Wars, it's the same story. I mean, you're fighting, same story. Star Wars, Firefly. Actually, yes, Rita, the one that was mentioned in the wiki was Mad Max Fury Road, which I think is a little too on the head because it wasn't gas. The fuel was the whole thing, but
there was that one tanker of milk. If you weren't
wherever you're always going to have stories of the little guy fighting against the corporate overlord or the governmental overlord or whatever it is. And so you wrap it in whatever aesthetic you want to put around it. And you can find ways to work that into it. Again, like Mad Max with the gas or, the helium, because since helium is actually a finite resource, this could be something that you can wrap into steampunk or whatever it is. And it will work for any, it's the same basic story of, heroes and villains.
Yep.
It's just how you want to make it look and what kind of weapons you want to give them and what kind of, vehicles you want to give them. So it's going to work I think it works in any story. So, or any story can fit the estate. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry. Too many margaritas.
And if it's not hydrogen, if it's not helium, you can always use hydrogen.
Hydrogen, yeah.
Is not a finite resource. Anyone can make it really in their
but it's also deadly.
But it's exceedingly explosive, which makes a really
murder the shit out of you if you're not careful with it. So
I mean,
Yeah.
meth is explosive, but we make.
Actually, I'm pretty sure if you wanted to have an interesting
Meth
punk
punk?
wrapped around Florida, you could do that. Florida punk.
Florida punk.
Airships run
No.
on meth.
Oh no.
Oh dear.
So yeah, I mean, we always have heroes and villains stories. So
Rita
whatever
asked,
looks
as-
cool and
as
what
you
people
might
are going
say,
to take.
does Mad Max count as Dieselpunk?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's a
I think so.
post-industrial
Post-apocalyptic, yeah,
yeah.
post-industrial. Everybody's fighting for water and for fuel, and
I expect my Dieselpunk to have more Art Deco and
okay.
fashion of the 19 teens, or
I guess we can call that
20s.
gas punk then, because they're really just trying to steal gas, not petrol. Or,
Witness
diesel.
me.
I don't
I
know
guess
if
most
it's a
people
strong
are.
argument, but I don't like the idea of Mad Max being.
Well, what do you see
Mhm.
Mad Max as? Just
It's just
post-apocalyptic
straight
nightmare?
post-apocalyptic. Yeah,
It's
But there's
wasteland punk.
post-apocalyptic steampunk. I mean,
there is, but post-apocalyptic steampunk still has that Victorian aesthetic in fashion choices. And there's just a little tilt of the hat to a higher fashion.
So
It's not
the
just-
gentlemanly bit that makes it punk, then, right?
It's not
Is
just
that the thing? The romance addition.
yeah. It's not just miserable people in the desert.
There's got to be some hope somewhere, is what you're saying.
I need
There'll
them
be a
to
new
look
hope.
fabulous. I need them to
Nice.
look fabulous.
oh,
You gotta
okay.
have
You need
rogues. Maybe just one rogue. Maybe a group of them to blow up something large.
Have you ever seen The Shadow?
was that
Yes.
the Alec Baldwin?
Yes, my
My
favorite.
Yes,
family
I
loved the shadow.
Yeah, I remember seeing it. It's been a long time, but yeah. Well, what about Dick Tracy? Do we
That's
all
the
remember
kind of
that one?
fashion I'm talking about. Oh yeah, Dick Tracy. That's
Dick Tracy,
That
yeah,
yellow suit,
Madonna.
man. That's Slade.
But yeah, The Shadow. I remember. I haven't seen that in a long time though, but yeah, that was a really good one.
Now
Yeah,
I'm
some
thinking
of
about
these I
Madonna,
haven't heard of.
Madonna singing about hanky panky.
Yeah.
My brain is shut off for the rest of the night. Done.
Oh, the Rocketeers on here.
Oh, that movie is close
Yeah.
to my heart. I watched that probably every week as a child.
Yeah.
Another reason I love Art Deco. There's just a lot of Art Deco in my life, apparently.
Mhm.
Hey, you have a thing, you like it. It's okay. Wow, we managed to mostly stay on track. Look at that.
What the hell?
I know, right?
I did my best, okay?
Darn it, we enjoyed talking about this too much.
Well, do we want to get votes on which punk we should talk about next time? People can leave
Yeah,
comments.
absolutely.
Because there's a shit ton of them out
Maybe
there.
we should choose
There's
3 that we want to
Myth
talk
punk,
about. and have to
solar
choose one.
punk. I mean, there's hope punk, which I know I have a friend who wrote a paper about that. Pink flamingo. Yes, Florida punk with the pink flamingo airships. Rita,
Run
write
on
that
that.
book. Yeah, horror punk,
Like, I
splatter
don't know
punk.
anything about a lot of these.
Neither do I, which is what's going to make it so much fun.
Yeah.
Biopunk, clock pump, atom punk, Celtic
Yeah.
punk, crust
What?
punk. What the hell's
Yeah,
Celtic?
crust punk is. Yeah, I've heard of crust punk before. I actually dated
It's
a
Oh,
guy.
dirty,
who
you're
did
making
it that way.
things yourself
basketball
out of
punk
trash.
I mean, there's a lot. Where's the
And there's punk,
Yeah.
there's ska punk, by the way.
Yes. Oh, did you see in Deco Punk the music that they were listing that was like the rockabilly and like squirrel nut
Yep.
zippers and I know
And
I
the-
didn't really understand how that worked with Diesel Punk, but I guess
Mm.
yeah. But
I think it's
I don't
easy
know
to get into the weeds if everybody wants to make their own brand of punk.
I
But
mean,
we'll give
like
it a
I
shot.
said, it's everywhere. Ray Punk,
Electro
yeah.
swing for diesel
So-
punk for music.
Oh my God, there's Formica Punk.
Ah. So I'm being told over here that electro swing is really good with diesel punk.
I believe that it's more appropriate to the timeline than typical,
Okay,
steampunk.
But
Y'all
I
need to
like
look
the
up-
guy with the flaming guitar flamethrower from Mad
Oh,
Max.
from Mad Max. Y'all need to look up
Barred from
cassette
Hell.
futurism and Formica Punk. That is our age group.
Formica Punk?
Dax. reimagines the late 70s and early 80s aesthetics as popularized by the IBM personal computer.
Oh god.
I love it. So yeah, if everybody wants to leave something in the comments about punks that you're interested in and you don't want to read about it yourself, let us know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we will do the
We will
research for you.
Happily butcher it for you.
What's your favorite goofy punk? I like Rococo punk.
Yes, you've brought that up before. Yeah,
I've just been surprised that there was anything to really work from. That this is actually a thing.
yeah. They're elf. Oh, there's also elf punk. Actually, that's okay. So that whole October Days series by Shauna McGuire that has 17 books and that I love so much. Apparently, that's elf punk.
I'm very big into
Now-
cottage core and goblin core, by the way.
Cottage
both of
core.
those
Yes,
are
I
just,
do like cottage core.
straight up. I love goblin
Yes,
core.
Rita, Silk Punk. You are right. Silk Punk is what Ken Liu uses for his the Dynasty series. He calls it Silk Punk, not steampunk.
Now,
and
what would
it's-
you call? Oh, sorry, you could cut you
It's
off.
based on the Silk Road. So yeah, he felt Silk Punk worked better than steampunk. So the Dynasty, the Grace of Kings, Ken Liu. Yeah, that's what he uses. I think he coined that phrase. Yeah. So
What
yep,
was
they're
that?
everywhere,
It was
and they all
the-
kind of flow in.
like Russian punk, the Tsar punk
Oh,
feel of what
Yeah.
was the TV show? The one with the big cloud black wall that split the nation in half on Netflix.
Yeah. We talked about it. We read the book.
Oh, with
Yeah.
Shadow and Bone.
Shadow
Yeah.
and Bone.
Yeah.
It's like Tsar punk to me. It feels very much that kind of like
Silk Road or the Silk Punk you're talking about?
maybe. I feel like it's a kind of its own thing because it's more of the it's Eastern European, but obviously not straight up. I don't know. I guess it fits the Silk Road area. I think Silk Road goes more towards the Turkey side, though.
To a
down
certain
kind of-
extent, it starts to feel like we're getting really granular with the
Right.
getting very
Right.
free with the punk on the end of everything.
Ooh, I guess we got to rein our punk in.
The
Butocki's
punks
telling
are
us
out
to
of
rein
control.
the punk in.
The punks are just
Punk is out of control.
Well, when you can't tell the difference, when you have to have, a big
A
nerd
Wikipedia
explain
entry?
the difference between Ray Punk and Atom Punk, like, do we need both of those? You just
One
call
didn't
them-
have transistors.
And all of this started because of cyberpunk. That's where it all started. We had
That's therefore
cyberpunk, and
something.
then Jeter made the joke about steampunk, and
Mhm.
then it just all went off the rails.
And here we
and
go.
Everything is punk now.
Suddenly,
Yes.
trains are popular again.
And women wearing corsets on the outside of their clothes.
Yet again, no wonder I'm into
What the heck?
Echo. I had Thomas the Train Engine.
Thomas the Train Engine is so diesel punk.
No. You're not a diesel, sir.
Oh,
Did any of you watch? What was that movie? It was with I was like Train. Oh, what was that movie? It's the one with where they made the joke about Thomas the Train Engine, and a whole bunch of killers were on a train. Was it Bullet Train? No.
you'll remember in 3 hours.
I watched Bullet Train. That was
Yeah. Man, with the guy with the good hair. Brad Pitt was the main character. It was
That was
Bullet,
Bullet
Train.
Train.
It came out during the pandemic, and it
Mhm.
was
Oh,
one
I
of those
did
things.
not-
That he. No, it wasn't.
Yes, it was.
It came out
No,
last year.
Johnny, not throw mama from the train. Good movie though.
You know what just occurred to me? Back to the Future
We only did that in
3.
That one is always debated. The Back to the Future, yeah. There's big
Well,
debate
that-
about the Back to the
It
Future.
becomes
movies.
steampunk.
Oh, it is steampunk, and it's also some sort of
Snowpiercer
retro
is
futurist. 2015 would have been a lot cooler
Yeah.
if it was.
If y'all
we
haven't
had
seen Snowpiercer, the
15.
movie or the series, watch them. Definitely
Oh, no,
post-apocalyptic future, but I don't know. I think Snowpiercer might fit Dieselpunk, but I'm not really sure.
I have not seen it yet. I know of the concept though.
The movie with Chris Evans was really good, but then it was also released as a TV series on TNT. It went for 3 seasons.
It's
There's
gotten
actually a
renewed
4th
for its
season that
last
was-
season.
Huh?
It got renewed
No,
this week.
What, Snowpiercer?
Yeah.
The 4th season's
It-
been hanging out there forever,
It
waiting
got
for
bought
it.
by
to-
AMC. They're going to
Oh,
finish
did it? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's
So,
it's really good.
Congratulations.
Excellent. So,
But,
all right. Well,
Yeah, we're up on 9 o'clock already. So let me tell you about who's keeping our lights on for us. Texas Steampunk Connection is supported in part by J.R. Seeger's A School for the Great Game. Edwardian teen Elizabeth Bancroft presents being sent to a finishing school in India, which is in fact the British India School for Spies, teaching the family business of espionage, martial arts, and Tibetan mystic arts. Is it Silkpunk? I don't know.
it might
The
be.
School for the Great Game is the first in the Steampunk Raj series available on Amazon. Also, we're supported by Fair Treasures. Fair Treasures is a selection of Texas-made female-presenting costumes and accessories for steampunk and Renaissance wear and one-of-a-kind imported jewelry. You can shop Fair Treasures at fairtreasures.com, fair spelled with an E, or on Etsy. And I keep bringing Fair Treasures up on this cottagecore community with gals who are looking for pieces. I'm like, go talk to my friend Kitty. It's like, oh, but I have to have a custom piece. I'm like, she makes all of it.
She does that. That's her job.
Just go.
You can look and not
she
buy.
does. She's
It's not-
outfitting me for Galveston. So.
Exactly.
So,
So
Kitty,
when
I
you
feel
fly
like-
up for fitting,
We also want to thank our patrons who are on Patreon. We'd love for you to join us on Patreon, buy us a coffee. I'm occasionally putting up little extra bonuses from the show or things that you might want to reference later on Patreon. I'm just trying to be helpful. But
I
I
want
want
to have more on Patreon after certain conventions.
I do want to thank Jenny and Ryan Shaver, who've been long time patrons of ours. Also, our certified aeronaut, Natalie McTavish, and a generous grant from the crew of the airship Aberfeldy, Rita and Lawrence Allen. Our opening music was Horses to Water by Topher Moore and Alex Elena, and our graphic designs are by Megan Higgins. It's important that I mention the opening sequence because YouTube is going to cut it, or Facebook is going to cut that out, and I'm going to have to fight with them because of copyright claims. I'm not bitter. Okay. And that's it for our patrons. Thank you all very much. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for showing up and talking about Dieselpunk. Viewers, thanks for tuning in with us. Is there anything else we want to add before we let go? Anna Schneider, thank you for tuning in and making comments with us. Along with Johnny Steverson, Rita and Lawrence Allen, everybody, really appreciate it. We have one more episode in 2 weeks before the big weekend at the Galveston Steampunk Festival. Don't wait until 2 weeks from now to buy your tickets because the experiences are selling out. So go over there and just Google Galveston Steampunk Festival and get ready. We're very excited. Very excited. Anything else? I'm sorry. Let you talk. Anything? Nope.
I ain't got
Okay.
nothing.
Mind your gauges.
Mind your gauges.
Mind your gauges.
So, once again, thank you for listening. You can find us again on Facebook at Texas Steampunk Connection for any comments, questions, suggestions. If you know of something happening in Steampunk that's happening soon, we can put it on our calendar, on our Patreon, as well as the list of over 100 comics and graphic novels, Steampunk and Weird West related.
You can also email us at texassteampunkconnection@gmail.com. And we're a streaming podcast, texassteampunkconnection.podbean.com.
And if you lose it on Facebook and you want to watch a rerun of this show at any point in time on YouTube, you can go find them on Steam Chest.
And although we've made many, many jokes about Twitter, you can look for us at TX Steam Connect 1 in Twitter.
I never use it. I never look at it. I don't know. I don't understand Twitter. Yeah, so once again, thank you very much. And until next time, mind your gauges.
Mind your gauges.